Hello, hello, hello. This is Black Women Leave America, where sometimes you have to leave in order to find yourself. I'm your host, Ava Laura.
And my name is Jessica. I go by Joss Speaks Digital. Thank you so much for joining us today for our special edition.
And today we just want to talk a little bit about self care because ultimately that is why we are here. That is why sometimes we have to leave in order to find ourselves. So, even before we get started, I would just love to know when you hear self care, what do you think of? Self care has become that buzzword, right, Jessica? It's like everybody's talking about self care now. And I
Okay.
think because of that, nobody really knows what self-care is. There's all these sort of misconceptions about they think it is, or how you actually can practice self-care versus how you can't practice self-care. So there's all these things going on. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but I want to know from you, like, what is your vision of self-care? What do you think self-care is, and why do you think it's so important?
So make sure you go ahead and leave us a comment down in the comment section below and let us know what self care means to you. We will be responding to those comments. So go ahead and leave those comments down below. But Ava Laura, let's hear from you because you are the self care guru as we know it. So tell us a little bit of what exactly is self care and what it means.
Yeah. And before I even do that, to call me a guru, right? Is because for me, it comes from personal experience. I think, like most of us, but I embraced my personal experience, right? So, I've been in the social work field for 20 years or so now. And really, I started hearing about self care as a buzzword even back then when I was in school. But what happened to me was I was a program director at an outpatient mental health clinic. Once I got finished social work and got I was about to say my PhD, Lord, we ain't doing all that. But once I got my master's in social work and all of that, I was working in the social work field. And that's when it became a reality. Like, it wasn't just a word, but I actually truly understood the meaning. I was in a job that I absolutely hated. It was a very toxic work environment. And I'm realizing in the midst of that the system is not set up to help people heal, but it was really set up to help people to maintain their dysfunction. And so I started feeling like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to serve my purpose here. You know what? I'm not going to be able to do the work that I feel that I was called to do. And so I started getting depressed. I started feeling stuck. I started feeling like I don't know what my options are, because the truth of the matter was everybody thought I was just living a life. I was recently married, had this new job, making really good money in my field, had my house, all of that. And I was miserable. And it wasn't until I finally reached out for help. I really just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I ended up talking to a colleague, and she invited me out to a self care retreat for women. And that's when I really experienced that, wow, this is a real thing. Like, burnout is real, toxic environments are real. And if I'm not putting myself first, I'm not going to have the fortitude, right? I won't have the internal resources to really be able to deal with whatever challenges are going on, whether they're internal challenges or external challenges. And at that time, I was really dealing with both. So self care for me is really giving yourself the buffer, right? It's any deliberate activity that you're doing that's allowing you to have the buffer that allows you to be able to combat all whatever the stressors are in life, because we know there are many. So that's self care.
Right. I love that. I love that. We don't have very much time to get into my self care journey, but I'll give you just the short version of it. I got into this from my own lived experience with postpartum depression and anxiety, being a mom of six amazing human beings. At that time, when I realized I was going through it, I had four kids. And you hear the stigma things around, right? Like, Black people don't get depressed, and oh, we don't do that, and we've been through slavery, girls. So you're strong, you can get through anything. So there was a lot of self stigma that I put on myself. After I did some research and I figured out, oh wow, something really is wrong. There's really something going on with me. I ended up getting into psychology and going for my bachelor's in psychology. From there, I started doing digital media and found that I really love to talk about postpartum depression and also bring awareness to postpartum depression, especially in the African American community for moms of color. So that's just a little snippet of how I got into it. And my self-care rituals were basically zero before meeting Ava Laura for sure. And I think for sure, just having conversations with Ava Laura, and Ava Laura and I met just happenstance on social media. And, you know, just hearing her talk about, I'm taking the day off. I'm like, how is she like not, how is she taking the day off and how is she not tripping? Like, we need money. Like, I need hustle. Let me get it. Right. And she's like, oh, girl, I'm not working tomorrow. I'm like, what do you mean? We got to get some money. Right. So being with her and being around her, it started to shift my interpretation of what it truly means to live, but then live a life where I'm not constantly in a state of struggle and survival mode. So now I've moved into the soft life officially. I don't carry no bags. I don't do nothing no more. But
welcome.
I love it here. I absolutely love it here, let me tell you. But embracing my soft side, that was really difficult for me. I felt like I had to be strong and I had to take care of everyone. And being a mom of 6, as I said before, you just feel like everyone else's needs come before your own. So I will say that my co-host has been an amazing example of just taking care of yourself and making sure that you step back and recognize when you need a moment. And nothing happens without you anyway, so you might as well take care of yourself. So moving into our first question, what role does self-reflection play in emotional self-care, and how can it be incorporated into a daily routine? Ava Laura, I'm gonna let you take that.
You know, I say that self-awareness is the sexiest thing ever.
I love
it. You know, when I was dating, you know, all about that dating journey and now into a relationship, I really saw the importance of self-awareness because some people really don't have a clue. They don't have a clue. And if you don't know what's going on, how can you actually address the problem? How can you find a solution to a problem you don't know exists?
Right.
So self-reflection is mandatory. You know, it's not something that I believe that we have the option like, oh, you know, that's nice to just take some time to just sit and think. That's mandatory. In adulting, you need to self-reflect. I can't tell you the number of women that I work with in their 40s, even in their 50s. They say, Ava Laura, you know, I'm 48 years old. You know, I'm 32 years old. How did I not know this about myself? You know, always still in the process of learning and uncovering. And so that's what we need to be. Self-reflection is absolutely key. I don't even remember the whole question anymore, but it's important. And
how do we incorporate it into daily life?
How do you incorporate it? Set time to do it. You know, we are bombarded with stuff, with all the things, right? With social media, you know, with binge watching. And I'm telling you all the stuff that I'm guilty of too, y'all. So, you know, with what's going on in our cell phones, what, you know, what's going on in social media, and, you know, what we're hearing about, listening to podcasts, what's going on with our family, our friends at work, what have you. So we're bombarded by things all the time. So really it's taking a moment, you know, actually, you know, setting an alarm on your phone, putting it in your calendar at a consistent time, and just giving yourself a moment, whether that's meditation, whether that's just sitting down and journaling, whether that's just taking a time to just kind of breathe and just be, sit out in nature. Just take the time to do it. That's really what it is. Do it consistently and do it deliberately.
And so I'll move into our last question, which is, what role does physical exercise play in emotional self-care, and how does that impact our mood and our overall emotional health?
Yeah, so I'm gonna tell y'all right now, like, I'm still working on my physical. So I am always transparent.
Well, let's talk about how to put in engaging creative activities like writing, painting, contributing to emotional well-being and self-care.
But the reality is, like, it's all important. So
Right.
the thing about self-care is understanding that it really is a holistic experience, right? And so there's no form of self-care that's better than the other. You know, I have my favorite forms, but if your form is, I'm going to make sure that I get my 8 ounces or my 8 glasses of water in every day, great. If your form is, I'm going to make sure that I exercise 4 times a week, great. If your form is, I'm going to make sure that I meditate for 15 minutes every day, or I get my, monthly Reiki treatments, or, whatever that looks like for you. No form is better than the other. Here's what I will say. And this is something, I speak everywhere. And, this is the one thing that I share with people that they're like, oh my God. So whether it's physical self-care, emotional self-care, mental self-care, spiritual self-care, whatever it is, your self-care must match the level of your stress.
Mm.
So if you are going through a very stressful point in your life, if your stress is at a 10 right now, maybe you're going through a divorce, or you're going through a breakup, or you're having relationship difficulties. And I mention that because that's a lot of times when women come to me. Or you just got fired from a job. What'd you say?
Your kids are driving you crazy.
Kids are driving you crazy, right? You just got fired from a job, right? So that money, your washing machine broke down. All these things are happening at once. If your stress is at a 10, don't say, oh, well, my self-care, I'm going to go get a mani-pedi. That's not going to do it. That is not going to help you. And so now it becomes superficial self-care. Even if it is physical, right? Oh, I'm going to work out. That's not enough. You got to bump up the level of your self-care. So your self-care always needs to match the level of your stress. So if you're more stressed out, that means you need to do more self-care. But at the bottom, at the minimum, you need to have a baseline of something that you're doing every single day to maintain your self-care.
Nice. I love that. So to bring this to a close, we would love, love, love to share more strategies with you, which is why we created an ebook that is 10 emotional self-care strategies for self-care. It has a self-care scale in it. It also has a couple of different ideas that you can use to, as Ava Laura said, match the actual stress levels that are happening in your life with actual activities that you can do. So go ahead and check that out. It should be down in the description below, or you can go ahead and email us. Of course, you can always reach out to Ava Laura, who offers amazing. Ava Laura, I'm gonna let you talk about your services. Ava Laura, what do you offer?
A variety of self-care interventions. But really, if you're ready, it's really about being ready. Coaching, life coaching for sure, energy healing, emotional well-being, energy healing plus life coaching all together. That is probably why most women come to me. I've just literally recently 3 new clients, and that's what they're all doing. So it's needed and it's necessary. But feel free to connect. I'm all over social media. I'm Googleicious, so is Jessica, digital media. So she is too. Feel free to connect and, request a consultation. And I would love to share with you, what I feel is going to work best. And we can kind of work on that together and figure out what are you experiencing right now, and what's going to best match your level of stress right now. What's the self-care you need the most right now?
Right. So if you're just looking to take the first step into this world of self-care, or just want some ideas to help you immediately, go ahead and download our ebook. That'll give you more information, as well as a couple of ChatGPT prompts that you can use, because ChatGPT can be your assistant. It can be your guide, along with Ava Laura when you're looking for individual one-on-ones. But I'm going to tell you, Ava Laura is not cheap. All right. No. You got to be ready to
my self-care. I'm not.
So if you're at a point where you're like, hey, I just need something that's going to help me right now, utilize ChatGPT to be that assistant that you need. And then when you are able to infuse some of these activities and things, if you can't get to an Ava Laura right now, go ahead, download this guide. That is what it's for. It's your first step into this world of self-care. So I hope you acknowledge and you accept this offering we are giving to you all by creating this ebook and making it available to you all. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you all in the next video. Ava Laura, is there any last thoughts that you have?
Your self-care must match the level of your stress.
Yes, make sure.
Right. What more can I say? Where is your stress right now, and where is your self-care? If your self-care does not match your stress, it is superficial self-care. You're not really doing nothing.
As you can see, she real as you real. So download the ebook. Her link is inside of the ebook, all of her contact information, as well as how you can utilize ChatGPT to be your little assistant, and a couple of different ideas that you can use to match your stress level with activities that you can do in your life immediately. Make sure you listen to the Black Women Leave America podcast. We will be back with more episodes coming up here really, really soon. But go ahead and binge watch all of the amazing women who have left in order to find love, happiness, and everything beyond the walls of America. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you all in the next video.